Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. This is News Check. In case you're just joining us, a program that seeks to explore issues shaping the news in the country. And of course, as we head to the general election in August, we are talking about the developments on the campaign trail as different political parties and players in this electoral process are going about traversing different parts of the country to woo the electorate and, of course, put forth what is the agenda for the country. And this particular morning, our message is you cannot have an election without a critical part of the population, and that is persons with disabilities. We are talking about including persons with disabilities in politics and in the electoral process. What are some of the gaps? What are some of the barriers that as a society we have created to make them invisible when it comes to elections? And that is what we are discussing this morning with my panel. I'm having Joseph Atela, who is the Executive Director of the Consortium of Disabled Persons Organization in Kenya, and Halima. She's a woman representative candidate in Kajiado County, going independent, and she has told us why she has decided to do this. Of course, we have talked a lot about some of the bottlenecks to the presence of persons with disabilities in politics in this particular country, and I just want us to carry that conversation on. And before we took the break, Halima, I just wanted to discuss with you more on your experience on the campaign trail. So I believe you're not the only person in this race for the woman representative in Kajiado County. There are others who are on the race as well, just like yourself. So you are on the campaign trails. They are also on the campaign trail.
There are 7 of us.
7 of you.
Yes.
Yeah. What is it that you're doing to stay ahead of the game based on the challenges that you have cited earlier as a person with disability, as a woman, as coming from a minority community? What are you doing? Because we are looking at a win. We are not looking at anything other than that.
Thank you.
What is it that you're doing to encourage those who are in this journey, such as yourself, candidates who are persons with disabilities? What is it that you're doing that you feel is going to work for you?
Thank you so much again. My strategy is I'm working with the people themselves at the grassroots. I have people in different communities, leaders from different communities. I have a representative of all the communities, and also youth and women and widows and persons with disability. I have them on board. I have one-on-one contact with my supporters, because that one makes me get more strength, because going for the rallies and seeking votes at the platform, it's not making a plus for you. They will just hear for you, but selling your manifesto is very important and very crucial, because you have to convince your supporters what you are doing to them, what you'll do for them, and you sell your manifesto grassroots,
but people
you
are
make
excited.
them understand.
People are excited with these rallies. They're excited with the political statements in these rallies. I mean, doesn't that concern you if you don't go that direction as a candidate?
For me, I don't go as that direction, because I have my manifesto and I have my track record. As a leader, you have to sell your track record also. You just don't wake up one day and say you want to be a women representative and you don't have a track record and what you've done for the community. So when I was working with other organizations, I have projects and things I've done for the community. Thank you, my director, because we've been working closely with him, with the Consortium of Disabled Persons in Kenya, doing a lot of empowerment to youths with disability, women and girls. Also with my organization of Kenya Livestock Marketing Council, we've been doing a lot at the grassroots. doing a poverty eradication program to the societies, issuing gala goats, dairy goats, and also income generating activities for the societies when the drought was too harsh for them. Also, when the corona was there, we partnered with him and other organization, Hope Foundation of Africa Women. We did a lot of programs with women and girls and youths, empowering them, issuing food, sanitizers, medication. So those are the track records I'm selling to my community, for them to give me the chance to work for them at a larger platform, because working with an organization, we identify pilot projects. Maybe we can work with one sub-county. But when you elect me as a...
You can escalate that to other counties.
Yes.
All right. I want to know more about what your agenda is, yeah? But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Have you experienced the, comments of or concerns from people who feel that maybe if they elect you as the woman representative, you will represent persons with disabilities, but you see this seat is open for not just persons with disabilities, it's for women, for youth, and those who are, sort of like the minority. Have you gotten those kind of concerns, or, people being a bit skeptical about, electing you based on those fears?
I've not got the concern from the community, but for my fellow contestants
and how are you demystifying that?
They even when we go for meetings, people tells me tukikuchagua utatufanyia kazi ama utafanyia walemavu, because when they go the grassroots, they say projects zilikuwa za walemavu ama nichague mimi kwa sababu niko na miguu ya kukimbia mkiwa mmenichagua niwafanyie kazi. But I don't think when you are elected as a woman representative, you go there, run in the parliament, you go work and address issues. It's your brain and you're hard working, not running as because my leg is not the one talking of disability issues in the parliament, or women issues, or youth issues in the county. So I don't, the challenge I get, it's not from the society, it's from my fellow.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and one unfortunate thing that people fail to understand is that this is a club that anybody can join any day, any minute.
It is.
I mean, you never decide that you're joining this club.
Yeah, sure.
It just happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
Because
say for those who are born like that, the others who just...
was so able to Mheshimiwa Gertrude, Danita, yeah. And unfortunately it happened. So it is a club. You can join anytime. So before you start using disability against someone, know that it's a club that anyone can join any minute. Any minute, any time.
All right. Yeah. So, Joseph, let's talk about the manifestos and the issues that ought to shape this this political season that touch on persons with disability and their interest. And later you'll tell me a bit more about your manifesto as well. Yeah. But let's talk about what you talked about earlier. You said that one of the milestones you celebrate is that there are certain political parties that have started including issues that affect persons with disabilities as part of their manifestos. Yeah. Just tell us a bit about what are the main issues when you're talking about persons with disability and their interest, and how you want to serve their interest as a political party or as a candidate. What are these issues coming from persons with disabilities themselves, Joseph?
Serfine, one of the issues that really affect people with disabilities when we live alone financial constraints is health. And this year alone, like 3 to 4 women with disabilities passed on due to challenges of related to health, and it's unfortunate that they were expectant,
maternal health.
So there should be these political parties should ensure that in their manifestos, our inclusion is not only supporting us with the walking aids, the hearing aids, and even, the white canes or something. That one is already there. What we want is an environment where healthcare is given first priority. We want a situation where a given political party gets into leadership with the cards that provided by the National Council for Persons with Disabilities after assessment, thorough assessment, and vetting. With that card, we are willing that these political parties allow people with disabilities access healthcare free of charge in public institutions. Again, business-wise, I want to tell you that like 15% of persons with disabilities living in Nairobi only are educated up to Form 4 level, and these people are not formally employed. Majority are not formally employed. So what these people do are small-scale businesses. So if a leadership can give support, financial support, and again, friendly markets or friendly places where they can do their businesses, that will make this constituent, our constituent, depend on their own, So another issue that really needs to be sorted is the issue of, what would I say, the relationship between persons with disabilities and both private and public institutions. You find that one has money, has some little cash. He or she wants to get into a restaurant somewhere. So there are a number of restaurants that have blocked some people with disabilities to, they relate them with
beggars,
with begging, So these are culture that we really don't want to go on. So empowerment, economic empowerment, health, and good public relations. And again, when we go to the transport sector, it's really not friendly. It has been left to the private sector, and it's not accommodative. It's very embarrassing if you can see how a woman with disability on wheelchair, who is on wheelchair, at sometimes I know those people who run the business, like the conductors and the drivers, they are really willing to help these people. But the way they are even handled into the matatus and the likes is very unfriendly. So we have to adopt a system, and it works in our neighboring counties like Rwanda. If we can make this public system, and it's a matter of working with the private sector, the public sector working with the private sector, so that when I want to use a matatu, I can use it comfortably. When a blind person wants to use a matatu, or when a wheelchair user, we can easily access and even feel like any other person in there. Unlike now, that when I get into one, I wonder where my legs will be,
or how you'll get there. And as a woman, sometimes it's very intrusive, how you have to be carried from your wheelchair to the seat in the matatu. And women, fellow women may sometimes may not be able to do that. So it's left upon the men to help you to come from your wheelchair to. And during rush hour, you know how it goes. Sometimes you may not be very lucky as a person with disability.
And adding on that, when it comes to, because constitutionally we have a right to be represented in the Senate, National Assembly, and the county assemblies. And there is this, the two-third gender principle. We want it in their manifesto, that when giving women topping up, the top up to fit the two-third gender rule, women with disability should be given like a priority. You know, these are women. Some are marginalized, like Honorable Halima here, and also adding on that, they are able. A number of us, these women are educated. You know, they can as well deliver. So.
You look beyond the disability.
Yes, you look beyond the disability.
I'll come back to you, but I'd just like also Halima to add on to that, because she has been part of this advocacy for also a very long time.
Yes.
What would you want featured in some of these party manifestos, you know, that would serve the interest of persons with disabilities in a more effective way?
I would wish for the parties in Kenya to feature us as persons with disability in leaderships, because first and foremost we are part and parcel of voting process, elective process. So we would wish them to give us that upper hand. Again, as he has said, health sector has not been very friendly for persons with disability, especially for women. In maternal health, as he has mentioned, we've lost 3 of us, DPO leaders, on maternal health when they were delivering. We have young babies already left by their mothers just because of the maternal health. We need it to focus on persons with disability, to have that special section for us, at least and disability friendly, for us to be more, you know, more included. I don't know what to say, because
and even access
for women,
even access to antenatal care,
yes.
You know, services at the hospital, and a woman with disability is pregnant when they go to hospital to access services.
Yes.
Do we have trained healthcare professionals?
I was coming there because we've been advocating. I was working with this ability organization, this ability trust, and we've been advocating for that reproductive health and girls and women with disability issues in the country. We were working with this 9 county, and I think it will expand the program to 10 more counties. We want trained nurses, trained doctors on how to handle women with disability, and also in general persons with disability, because persons with disability who is a deaf can come to the hospital and there's no sign language interpreter. So you are being diagnosed in a wrong way, given wrong medication, that person ends up getting more complication and even losing that person because of wrong medication. So we've been advocating for it, and we would wish with the the political parties to have those issues addressed, because when they are elected, you know, the nomination slot is very minimal for us, and we can't have voice of only 4 people at the National Assembly to address it.
All the issues.
All the issues, and also disability issues. So for
I'm curious to know, though, because some of these issues you're citing, like even accessibility, others have been captured in law. For example,
but it's still in papers where, you know, it can be captured.
There is the obligation that you're supposed to make your, if, for example, it's a building, you make it accessible for persons with disabilities, and you have ramps that are properly constructed to ensure that place is accessible. It's in law, right?
Yes,
is it difficult to implement, or is it expensive, or is it lack of goodwill, or what is going on?
Lack of goodwill, I can say. Lack of goodwill, and also it is not coming out as it is supposed to be in the constitution. So I think even we've been talking as DPOs in the county, Kajiado County, on county must have, when they physical planning on construction, they must make it a must for all the constructors to make disability-friendly buildings. And also those buildings which were there before, they should make it as a must. They go and tell them it should be a disability friendly, you know, because me and him, we can't just go and tell a private sector this building is not a it is not a disability friendly. But with the government and county government, national government, they can have that mandate and tell a building lazima ikuwe disability friendly.
Yeah, Serfine, when it comes to...
Just as we add on that, there is the Disability Act of 2003 that also gives a provision for employment of persons with disability, you know. Like there is a threshold that has to be met, and it's a requirement by law. I mean, is this just too difficult to implement, or what is it? What is the problem? Were we too ambitious by setting up this piece of legislation, or what?
Really, the 5% minimum requirement really go together with the accessibility, and in the accessibility there is this adjustment order that was issued, I think, from 2004, and it lapsed. It gave room for the private and public building owners to do some, internal audits and find a way of making these buildings accessible or something, you know. So after that, we realized nothing was being done. But again, we also, on the other hand, you say that you blame your chicken, and also you blame the mongoose that came to eat that chicken. You know, we've been having representation, and I can say it's so bad that the cartel in the system have not allowed them to ensure or push for the implementation of the accessibility. You know.
It goes back to lack of goodwill.
Lack of goodwill, yes. Yeah. So this really has come with disadvantages, and up to date. In fact, in the PWDs Act of 2003, there is a section that gives incentives to those who have met these demands, you know. So when we come to 5% minimum employment requirement, so far, I don't think there is an organization or institution that has met it. But and again, it's so unfortunate that it's the private sector. There is one company in the private sector, a telecommunications company, that has really come close to it. They are at around 3.5 to 4% employment. And it's very ironical that the government that should really push for this, we are still not even represented in all the boards. Of these parastatals or state agencies, you know. So how would one push for that if the government itself, you know, is so relaxed at
have the goodwill
implementing that?
So we have the law, but then again, we are lacking in how we are going about implementing the law that we have put in place to safeguard the interests and the rights of persons with disabilities.
We have the law, but the goodwill is not there.
Now, third one, you are forgetting about the AGPO, access to government procurement opportunities. You know, we are still, it's 30%, it should be 30% advantage.
30%.
This inclusive of women and youth.
And
you know.
disability.
So even that one, it's nowhere to be seen.
All right.
So
I'd like us to look at, something that at least what we know that is in the public domain is that one of the political outfits has already made public their manifesto that I understand has a section that has been dedicated for how it's going to serve the interests of persons with disabilities. I don't know whether any of you has interacted with the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance manifesto and its provisions and promises for persons with disabilities. Have you?
Yes.
What is it that stands out for you, or what is it that disappoints you about it? Any of you can jump in on that.
Thank you so much, Serfine. With the Azimio la Umoja manifesto, it has turned out to be the most favorable and best for persons with disability. But as a candidate who is persons with disability, I would really wish to ask the party leader and party leaders of Azimio to make sure the manifesto is well implemented, because as we know, things are in papers, and once elected, it is shelved and kept aside. So
it could just be promises, but
let it not be promises, because this time round we are watching. We are out here as leaders of persons with disability. We need it to be in practice, not in papers.
All right. Just as you come in, let me just, in the interest of our viewers, just to run you through some of the things that I captured on the manifesto concerning persons with disabilities. And one thing is that this is a commitment that if their presidential flag bearer, Raila Odinga, is elected as president, they're going to ensure that persons with disabilities are treated with respect by including developing a comprehensive program to support and ensure that they live in dignity, make public spaces and facilities, including toilets, accessible for PWDs, integrate PWDs into society and the economy as much as possible. This includes services such as access to affordable credit and other economic opportunities. And of course, another provision there is review the existing legal and policy frameworks relating to PWDs with a view of enhancing their participation in society. The other one is permanent tax exemption. So that's just some of the provisions that are there in the manifesto touching on persons living with disabilities. Any comment on that? Anything that stands out for you?
Serfine, if I be honest, I would say that the Azimio party leader is one of the persons that have really, in the history of our nation, has really fought for the rights of human beings in this country. And coming onto this manifesto, I want to say that I strongly believe he has captured universal health care. So there is no government that has really come out before, in the previous elections, before even they were elected, that they would do such a thing to people with disabilities. So with the support of the deputy, in fact, the Azimio leaders political party is one of those political parties that I was telling you that had included the Disability League policies in their constitution. So it's the party, it's the leadership. If we pray that they get into power, this is the leadership that is going to make changes. We've interacted with their top leaders, and we've interacted with their, middle and disability league leaders, and there is goodwill. There is political goodwill in that wing of Azimio. And again, when they talk about inclusion, dignity, living with dignity, that's so important to us. We are out of a generation where we would be categorized as people who would be seen as seeking for charity model, you know, where when you meet me outside there, you want to give me 10 shillings, that is not even going to sustain my life in 3 minutes, you know. So we want such kind of manifestos, and we trust, I mean, this leader.
But are you interrogating the practicability of it and the sustainability of it? There was a concern you raised earlier, Halima, as to whether this is just going to be a beautiful promise on a piece of paper and nothing to show for it several years down the line. I mean, haven't you heard such promises before?
I started by telling you that in the previous elections, there hasn't been, I mean, an incoming government that had given such a colorful or conspicuous manifesto that regards lives of people with disabilities. So for the first time, and this, I want to inform you that this was not just done like somebody just sat and did it. It was consultative for information. Yeah, so we trust. And implementation of all this just needs partnership and goodwill. And from the word go, apart from some few challenges with the makeshift, I mean, podiums that are not inaccessible, there are something that they are doing, and we keep engaging them, that they are doing, that have convinced us, and they have even given us a room for following up on such issues, you know. Yeah, so we want engagement. You don't come on the podium and promise that I will nominate so-and-so because he has worked with us. That is not binding, you know. So if you do it on paper, we have brilliant legal minds, you know, and
can hold you to account.
Yes, and we've gone to courts before, and we are able to go again. So in other words, I'm saying that we are very, very hopeful with the Azimio Party Manifesto, and our prayer is that they just ensure that it is implemented to the latter.
All right, and we're still waiting to compare this with other political outfits who will be unveiling their manifestos, and candidates who are going to be unveiling their manifestos in the coming days, to see whether there is a section dedicated for persons with disabilities and how they seek to address their interest in the event that Kenyans decide to vote them in to be to form the next government.
In fact, we expect those other coalitions to have one, because the trend that we do have is that when Party A does this, Party B normally wants to counter by giving, I mean, much better promises, you know?
It's not even about countering. Let's just hope they will, because it's the right thing to do, right?
Yes.
Because persons with disabilities need to be...
only the goodwill will work.
Let me just take you through also something that I don't know whether any of you attended the meeting that Raila Odinga had with persons with disabilities at Nyayo Stadium. This was around May in 2022, where he made quite a number of promises. Again, this was before he launched his manifesto. I was just looking at some of the promises he made and how realistic they're going to be in terms of implementation. For instance, he promised to double the number of public service employees living with disabilities by reviewing the Persons with Disability Act of 2003. Just to increase the employment opportunities of persons with disabilities in public institutions from the current 5% to 10%. You were saying earlier that 5% has not been achieved. How is 10% going to be achieved? I mean, are you not asking this question?
It's not realistic because first, I come back again. Political parties should have the goodwill so that to achieve this 5%, because already we have the 5% and it is not achieved. So
10%, is it possible?
10% for me
For you, what do you think?
Not realistic.
Ensure that they award tenders, more tenders for persons with disabilities to ensure more employment opportunities. He promised also free education for PWDs in public institutions, and promised also to split the disability fund and the into entrepreneurship and welfare kitties. So the disability fund to be split into two: welfare kitties, and a part of it to go into entrepreneurship for persons with disabilities.
First,
some of the promises.
First, there, the disability fund. I think it's a national council.
I wanted to give my input in regards to that.
Yes.
I want to tell you that Honorable Raila hasn't just come from nowhere with that kind of promise. I participated in the amendment of the Persons with Disabilities Act 203.
Yeah.
And currently, there is a bill, the Persons with Disabilities Amendment Bill of 2020. You know? So there are changes that have been done that, and some enforcements that have been done in a number of sections, you know? So, for example, the Disability National Fund for persons with disabilities, it has been taken away from the National Council.
It is
a
government institution now.
Now it is being taken to the Treasury. It's the Treasury that will have, there is an unit that is formed as well, a body that is in the process, and also the Treasury will be in charge of this, will be guiding on how this will be implemented.
How is that a good thing? If you're to address a person with disability, to understand why it was taken from a body that was initially crafted to address their needs and interests, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities, and it's moved to National Treasury, which does not necessarily, address the interest of persons with disabilities alone. How is that a good thing?
First, council being this council is managed as a department within the Ministry of Labour currently. So even as we speak right now, there are funds that have not been disbursed. They are yes in the budget, but have not been disbursed to the accounts of the council. And there is even programs, economic empowerment programs, that cannot even run as we speak. So if these funds are given to institutions that are specifically for managing funds, it will be easier. So what will be done is just ensuring that good committees are put in place just to do check on how the implementation is done. So it's very practical. With the 10% employment, I think with that one it's a bit high. We have to meet the 5%, yes, but again, with the law that is being, the policy is being reviewed, so it has pushed. There is a number of sections that have pushed the institutions that will be liable for following up on such issues.
That is done.
Yes.
Yes. Until it is done, then we will be convinced. But before then, it still remains beautifully written on a piece of paper. That's what I can say.
Until it's done.
Until it's done, we will just see it on paper and we'll say, yes, we have that provision, and that is it.
We must also give credit where it's due, because previously they were not in their minds. So the moment they put it, they include it. Now what remains is strong follow-up, and engaging them. So it's normally good. Me personally, I don't like the habit of just complaining without knowing what you are complaining about. First you need to ensure that you are inside there, then you follow up or make noise because you are inside there.
From an informed point of view. All right.
Just
your addition as we're just about to close this conversation.
2 minutes. I just want to add on what he has said, and we think the process, because the process has been inclusivity, because the DPOs has been part and parcel of the process. So let's hope in the near future, after the election, we'll have the process still, because this political journey, it's a process. So we have to, because we have the DPOs on the process, let them do it after the election, to have that process again and have them on the table to make the decision as persons with disability as after election.
Well said, Halima. And I don't want us to wind up before I give you at least 1 minute to tell the people of Kajiado County why they should vote you as the woman representative. What is your agenda in 1 minute?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Serfine. I am Halima Sharif, independent candidate, women representative, Kajiado County, and in front of this camera seeking for support from my people from Kajiado County. And I seek for that support because I am the candidate who is
what are the three things? What are the three things you want to do for your people if elected?
I am going to work for women, persons with disability, youth, orphans, and widows. And those are the three sectors I will, including men and young boys. I will have on board job opportunities for young men, young girls, economic empowerment for the entire society in Kajiado. Please give me the chance. I have a manifesto to launch very soon. As a person with disability, I am seeking for a leadership position, not a sympathy position. Please elect me as a woman representative of Kajiado County. I will perform. I will work for you. And thank you so much. Halima Sharif, independent candidate, #1 on the ballot. My symbol is a woman carrying the luggage. I want to carry luggage for Kajiadans. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Thank you so much, Halima Sharif, for that. And of course, also, just to give you a chance for your final remarks, we are less than 60 days to the August polls. We are talking about inclusion of persons with disabilities in politics. What would be your closing remarks?
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Serfine. We don't take this for granted. First, I would like to call upon all persons with disabilities across the country to ensure that they are part of this electoral process. They need to play their part, as well as ensure that they also mobilize the disability leaders at different ground levels. They should ensure that they mobilize and work closely with available organizations or charity organizations that can help transport our people to polling stations. And also, I have a message to our good partner, the IBC, that the polling stations need to be accessible to all kinds of disability, not only putting ramps. There should be sign language interpreters in those stations. And finally, as I conclude, I thank the leadership of our country for at least the far and the support they've accorded us, and much has not been done. But again, we believe in the incoming leadership. We've kept them on check. We've been working with them in their political journey. So we believe and we just ask or remind them that they need to continue engaging people with disabilities. Inclusion should really be embraced. This is well stated in our constitution, and it is well stated in the UN CRPD and even the African Charter, So there shouldn't be an excuse. And they should also ensure that people given opportunities to represent are people who are well conversant with the work they are given or mandated to do. Right. They shouldn't just pick anyone from anywhere, because we don't want a Bora representation. We want representation Bora. Yes. Otherwise, this can be done. And thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Joseph. Atela, the Executive Director of the Consortium of Disabled Persons Organizations in Kenya, and Halima Sharif, the Woman Representative Candidate in Kajiado County, for creating time for us this morning just to talk about inclusive politics as we head to the August polls. That's how we wrap it up. Thank you for watching. Tamrini is coming up next, and Kurunzi Mashinani.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.